Hey crafty people, welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Oh, welcome to my channel. So it's time for April's Christmas card, and what we're gonna do is a single layer stamped card. And I've got out a card base template, and this is for a slimline card that's 4 by 8.5. And I've got out, I stamped most, but not quite all of my Purple Onion Stacey Yacula stamps on tracing paper so that I can lay them out and figure out how I want to stamp them, because especially if you're doing a single layer card, you're going to want to plan ahead because it's going to require masks so that the stuff in the foreground stays in the foreground and the stuff in the background gets pushed to the background. So I'll explain more as we go along, but I've got this background stamp, so that's going to be the background over here. And I was playing around with this a little bit earlier, so I have some idea what I want to do. And then I've got these two little cuties sitting on a log having hot cocoa, so they're going to go there. So having them on the tracing paper means I can lay out how I plan on stamping my card and see which ones are going to have to get masked off so that we know which layers get stamped first and which get stamped second and third and all of that. I want to do the hot cocoa stand, so that's going to go, say, about there, I think, because I was going to stick our cute little fox here. And then I've got some trees I can put behind the fox. So if we do that tree with a pile of snow on it, and this tree with a pile of snow on it, and it can go like that. And I'm just trying to decide, do I want the trees layering on each other, which would then require another mask, or I think I'm going to scoot it over so that they're next to each other, so I don't have to create yet another mask, because I don't think I have masks for all of these pieces. I have for some. That. He's gonna go there. And our little penguin dude drinking some hot cocoa. I think I'm gonna try and line that guy up so that the snow line from this stamp matches the snow line from the cocoa stand. So I think this is gonna be the layout for our piece. So the very first thing that we're gonna need to stamp is gonna be our fox, who's gonna be here in the front. Then we're gonna need to stamp the hot cocoa stand, our penguin guy, and these guys. And then the tree line and the trees in the very background. So let me check and see, do I have a mask of him already? Got the cocoa stand, I've got that dude, I've got them. Probably don't actually have the fox, because that's my luck. Okay, so I've pulled out Mr. Fox. What I want to get is my Misty. And we're gonna lift this up, because we're also going to use it to help us with our stamp placement. So I've got this guy, which I'm going to have to move around because it's not big enough. So let's stick that down. The papers are probably going to stick to it. Yep. So let's redo our setup. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line up my fox stamp with where my fox is on our scene. Push that down, grab him. Gonna lift this out and put my paper in. And because I have my Misty, I can stamp it over again in the same spot, mostly because we're gonna stamp with Memento, which is a dye-based ink, because I plan on coloring these in with my Copic markers. And dye-based inks don't always stamp perfectly the first time, so being able to restamp in the same position is always helpful. So we're gonna go ahead and stamp him like so. That actually stamped really good. Kind of amazed. All right, I am gonna grab some masking tape so I can create a mask of this guy. Basically just gonna stamp him again. That. Now I need to fussy cut this out so that we can cover him up and stamp the rest of the pieces. So let me do that and I'll be back. And I should say, I've got this masking tape that I picked up years ago, like it's a huge roll. If you don't have this, you can create your mask using a Post-it note. I just recommend, if you're gonna go that route, what you are going to want to do is make sure at least some of the image is stamped on the sticky part of the Post-it note so that it will stick in place. And worst comes to worst, if you don't have Post-it notes either, you can use just a piece of paper. And if you have repositionable adhesive, you can use that to stick it down. Otherwise, you can just place it in position and just be very careful that you don't shift it when you are stamping the rest of the images, because that'll work too. I just like the fact that this is sticky, and I will put it in the binder so that I can reuse it until it is no longer functional. Okay, so I've got the mask all cut out, and I'm gonna cover up our fox. Now, when you do a mask, you do not want to bubble cut it or kiss cut it or whatever you want to call it, where you leave white around the edges, because then you will end up having white around the edges of your image. So there we go. Now I'm going to pull over our piece again, and I think because the mask won't go, or my stamp platform thingy won't go all the way over, I'm going to move it over a little bit because it's not going to get the whole of the penguin stamp where it currently is. Let's test that out. That'll be all right. Stay in place. Now what we're going to do is place our other two. We're going to do the penguin and the hot cocoa stand. Actually, he's an owl, not a penguin. So I'm going to stick that there. You know what? I can't stamp them both at the same time. So let's stamp the cocoa stand first. So let's line up our stamp like so. Make sure we press down so it sticks to it. All right. Now we're gonna pull this out of the way. Flip it over and ink it up and stamp it. entirely sure that was straight. So when we peel that off, I think it might be a little askew, but that's okay. See, our fox looks like he's standing in front of the cocoa stand. Kind of bummed. I wish I was paying a little more attention so that the cup with the cocoa in it would be showing more and that the fox was over a little bit, but it's a little bit of too late now. All right, so our penguin, we want to go here. So let's stick that there. And for some reason tonight, it's stamping really well. I think it's because I'm used to doing a lot more with like lawn fawn stamps, which are clear stamps. And since these are red rubber, they do stamp a bit better than clear stamps. So I think that might be part of the reason why they're stamping better than I expect. Because I don't use these as often. That should line up just right. Not quite. That is all right. We're gonna make it work. Let's move him out of the way. And now we need our log with our other critters. And we're gonna need to move this block over again. That stamped good. Now I need to put the masks over all of these pieces, which I have masks for everybody. Let's put our fox mask back in place. Although we're not going to stamp those trees just yet because we've got to stamp the background that goes this way first. And since I've got to move this over because it's not big enough. Now, the last time I used the cocoa stand, I clearly wasn't concerned about like what was in the background being able to show, but this time I do want that. So I'm going to shift this over and finish fussy cutting out inside the stand, which I did not do last time because presumably whatever I was stamping, it wasn't going to be an issue for. I think I shifted those guys down, possibly. Well. Okay. Just going to take a look at this because I want to make sure that the bench is straight, and I think that's good. All right, we're going to ink this up and stamp it. That worked pretty good. Okay, and we've got just the two little trees left to stamp. Let me find those stamps. Let's stamp this one, I think I'm just gonna eyeball it. Oh, we need to move this over. Actually, no, I'm realizing I don't want to eyeball it because I want to make sure it's over far enough that we're not going to run into problems with stamping the other guy. So let's do that. And actually, we can stick the other one on too, since they're stamping next to each other. Okay, this can get put aside. We can ink these guys up. All right, so let's peel off all of our masks so we can see what our scene looks like. Those guys. There we go. So we've got trees behind, and all of that scene is pushed behind the stuff we want in the foreground. All right, I need to pull out my Copic markers, and what I'll probably do is maybe color the fox on camera and then do the rest of the guys off camera so that you're not stuck watching me color for ages on this, since the main thing I wanted to show you was how to put together a single layer scene, and some tips for doing that. And I don't think I mentioned, but I did get the idea for stamping the images on the tracing paper from Sandy Alnock. I will leave a link to her main channel, although she has over the years shifted more towards her own original art and less towards stamping, but some of the older videos on her channel involve stamping. So I will leave a link to that one down below. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and colored everything except the fox, which I'm going to do with you guys on camera so I can show you pretty much how I like to color when I'm coloring with my Copic markers. For these kinds of stamped images, I did also, when I did the background, like the sky, I always end up with a streaky sky. So I decided to kind of add clouds. And what I did was I took my Uniball Signo white pen and kind of scribbled, and I'll do one on now. Might as well do it now. I kind of picked a spot. Let's do one, say here. Kind of scribbled around and then took my finger in and kind of smudged it. To give it kind of a wispy cloud feel. So it kind of disguises the streakiness of the sky a little bit. So yeah, just kind of do a little bit of scribbling and then brushing it with my finger to soften it so that it looks like we've got a cloudy sky to go with all of our little snow dots, which I also use my pen for. And I, for a change, actually did some on the peoples or the critters. So I will do that when we finish coloring our fox here. So let's start with him. And basically for coloring these guys, mostly what I do is I pick 3 colors. Sometimes I'll mix in, like for the deeper shadows on some of the browns, I pulled in a warm gray. But for our little fox, I am pulling in YR27. I grabbed E9, not E8, so that I need to swap out, and E15. Okay, so what happened was I mixed up my caps. So I did grab the E8, because one side is E8 and the other side is E9. Oh. So apparently the last time I was using the two of them together, I mixed up their caps. Okay. And I start with my lightest color, which I think is the YR15, yeah. So I'm going to start and just give him a base coating. So everywhere I'm going to color these colors in, I'm going to go over with my lightest color. Then I'm going to come in with my darkest color. I think that's going to be my E8 here. And I'm going to put where I want shadow or for the color to be a little darker. I'm going to come in and do that color. Then I take my midtone and blend it out. And now sometimes I will then come back in with my lightest color if there's some other spots that I want to get it blended into but keep it lighter. So like on the tail I want to keep some of the lightness in it. I also want to get a little more texture in the tail, so I am going to come back with the E8 and do this. And I'm going to leave that like that. I think I want to lighten up his ears a little bit. Oh, I missed that spot completely on him. Okay, let's go back in and do that. And if you want to add more depth to your shadows, you can pull in like a gray. I'm happy with how he's looking. I'm going to leave him alone, except I want to do his face and his tail. I'm going to take C0 and I'm going to do an all over coat. And then add some shadows like around the brim of the hat. And it's probably looking a little darker now than it will once it dries. I'm also going to pull in for the tail some of my white pen to add more texture. And I've got R11 that I used to give those guys cheeks, so let's give him a little bit of rosy cheek action. And oh, let's do his hat next. And I'm going to do his hat green. And so I've grabbed G21, 24, and 28. And I'm just going to do the same basic process. Now for like the hat and the scarf where it's kind of rounded, I'm just going to add my darks along the sides and keep it lighter in the center, and that gives the illusion that there's a curve to it. I'm going to make the band red, so I've grabbed R14, R20, no, R17 and R27 are the ones I want to use. with my lighter color, because what it'll do is it pushes the darker colors off to the side a little bit. All right, and last couple touches, I'm gonna add some white lines on here. Now this is one of those things I see on cards online all the time, and I'm like never sure where to stick the lines or how big to make them. Gonna go with that, and then I'm gonna add some snow onto him. And I think I'm gonna call it done. Oh, and I forgot to mention when we started this out, I have something that's a little bit absorbent, which is just a scrap pad underneath when I'm coloring with my Copic markers. Supposedly it works better that way. I like it because it makes it for a little softer surface to color on. But there we go. That is our April Easter card. Our April Christmas card. So that's all for today. Oh, and off screen I'll add it to an actual card base, but I figure all that is me gluing it on a folded piece of paper. Do you really need to see that? So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that let YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.